Welcome, ZASLOW Show 2.0. It is a Friday, the 17th of March. Good to have you aboard. We are, of course, a Blue Wire podcast. However you're listening to us, make sure you like, you rate, you comment, you do all that good stuff. It's good for the it feeds the algorithm, and then it helps me get the monies and gets me more listeners, and everyone is happy. Great way to start the weekend here. You're hanging out with us here on ZASLOW Show 2.0. And of course, everything ZASLOW Show 2.0 is presented by our title sponsors. None of this possible without the support from Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys. If you have an injury, if you had an accident, doesn't matter what kind, boating, motorcycle, car accident, slip and fall, Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys. You get an attorney on the phone immediately when you call 800-747-FREE any time of day. 800-747-3733. I trust those guys. If I trust them, I'm going to send them over to you, and you're going to get taken care of. Again, Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys, 800-747-FREE. That's 800-747-3733. We got a great show planned today. We got the tournament. The madness is in full force. So you got madness going on that we got to recap from day one of the NCAA tournament yesterday. The Hurricanes are playing tonight. FAU, Florida Atlantic University, is in the tournament. How about no FSU in the tournament, no Florida in the tournament? The two Florida teams, Miami, Jim Larinaga, them boys, they're awesome. Miami's in the tournament. FAU is in the tournament, and they're playing essentially back-to-back tonight. Ken LaVicka, ESPN 106.3 West Palm midday host, and the voice of FAU men's basketball. He's going to join us on the show live from out there in Columbus, Ohio. We'll learn a little bit about this FAU team. I don't even know when's the last time FAU has been in the tournament. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know. So we'll get him on the show here. Ken LaVicka will join us. We'll pick his brain and learn a little bit about this FAU team and how excited he is to call that game. All right, so there you go. You got that. You got the Heat. They're back in action tomorrow. The Panthers. You get a goal. You get a goal. You get a goal. You get a goal. The Panthers, 9 goals last night. That's what I'm talking about. That's what when the Canadians come here and you got all the Canadian fans in town, that's what you do to them. You put goals on goals on goals. You send them home. Get out of here, Canadians. All right. So you got the Panthers last night, and we'll go over that for sure. But the first thing that I got to tell you guys, so excited. You saw that I put the video out yesterday, right? Did a little bit of unboxing. I told you we got a new sponsor joining the show. We got another new one joining the show next week, but we'll get to that when the time is right next week. Let's all welcome aboard the very famous Sheets and Giggles to ZASLOW Show 2.0. That's right, Sheets and Giggles now. A sponsor, newest sponsor on ZASLOW Show 2.0. I'm super excited to have Colin. He's the CEO and founder of Sheets and Giggles on the show now. They are our newest sponsor. You saw I did some unboxing yesterday. I got the sheets. I slept on them. Now, we got it right. I'm looking at it right now. We got the sheets right here on the bed in the master bedroom in the ZASLOW family mansion. We're going to make some magic Sunday night. You know how it goes in the ZASLOW mansion. We're going to make magic on the new bed sheets right there. So I can't exactly review that for you, but I can tell you, these are the softest sheets I've ever touched. I slept like a baby last night. I have the new pillow as well. I got a eucalyptus pillow that I slept on last night. I've never slept on anything like it. I loved it. It was like adjusting to where I put my head. It was adjusting to me. The sheets, like I said, so soft. I got a new comforter here, courtesy of Sheets and Giggles. I got the duvet cover on the comforter as well, because you want to make sure the dogs don't dirty it up. My dogs, they sleep in the bed with us. By the way, the dogs, they slept like baby dogs. They loved it as well. Let me tell you a little bit about Sheets and Giggles, okay? Over 100,000 Americans are sleeping on Sheets and Giggles now. Naturally softer, cooler, more breathable than cotton. That's what you want. And hypoallergenic. They're sustainably made via a lyocell process from the wood of eucalyptus trees. That's right. Grown on sustainably managed biodiverse farms. Sheets and Giggles cares very much about the environment, so you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. Hey, up to 96% less water used when you're washing these than some cotton sheets out there. up to 30% less energy used than cotton sheets. That's what I'm talking about. They care very much about the environment, and absolutely zero pesticides or insecticides are used, all right? Plus, there are little things that I really like too. Not only are there extra deep corners, so when you're tucking in the fitted sheets, but how about this? The fitted sheets, they have a tag, all right? There's a tag on the lower left corner, so you know. How many times are we making the bed? You put the fitted sheets on, you realize, oh, this is the wrong way. We got to turn it. There's a tag that tells you it could be either bottom left or top right. So you know you don't have to redo the whole bed. I love convenient stuff like that. Everybody's been through that before where you put the sheet on and it's a pain in the ass. You got to turn it around. They're helping you out here. So easy. So anyway, Sheets and Giggles. Sheetsgiggles.com/Zaslow. ZASLOW. Sheetsgiggles.com/Zaslow. You're going to get 20% off of your first order. Use the promo code there, Zaslow. But go to sheetsgiggles.com/Zaslow. There's so much. There's pillows, sheets, comforters, mattresses as well. I'm so happy to have my man Colin and Sheets and Giggles on board here. You guys, of course, know them from the Levitard show as well. So I'm super psyched that they were so willing to join the show. They're excited. I'm excited. You're going to be excited also. Sheetsgiggles.com. Sheetsgiggles.com/Zaslow. There you have it. Oh, man, I love it. My kids, they got the bedding too. My younger son, he loved the pillowcase. Very soft. Like, I know, Sheets and Giggles. Okay, anyway. So let's give it up for Sheets and Giggles, newest sponsor here on ZASLOW Show 2.0. Super pumped to have them aboard. All right, so let's start out with the tournament. The big highlights from the tournament yesterday, you had two major upsets. Princeton knocks off number 2 Arizona. Furman knocks off number 4 Virginia, and that was a crazy ending. The kid from Virginia is inbounds in the ball full court. He panics. It's about to be a 5-second violation. He panics, even though I believe they had a timeout. So, like I said, he panicked. He winds up throwing the ball like 2/3, 3/4 court. It gets intercepted. Mind you, it's a 2-point lead for Virginia here. Could have called timeout. Ball gets intercepted. Kid from Furman intercepts, passes up ahead, 3-pointer, right wing for the win. Bang! It's good. There's like 2 seconds left. Game over from there. Furman knocks off Virginia 68-67. They advance now to Saturday where they're going to play San Diego State. That's the Alabama, region there. That's the South region. But Furman crushing Virginia's hopes there. Same thing with Princeton crushing Arizona's hopes. Now, as far as other upsets, you had Penn State beat Texas A&M. That was a 10-7. That's not a big deal. Houston had a little bit of trouble in against Northern Kentucky. Houston, I think it was a 3-point game at halftime. I watched a lot of that game. Then Houston pulled away in the second half. They win by 11. Otherwise, nothing really standing out there. You had Maryland. Maryland beats West Virginia 67-65. West Virginia was up big early in that game. Maryland chipped away at it rather quickly, to be honest. So Maryland winds up winning that game. That's also of note. But otherwise, those are the big stories from yesterday. Here's where I stand on the tournament. And I've said this before. So it's fun that you had Princeton win. It's fun that you had Princeton win. It's fun that you had Furman win. So you get the madness. But here's the thing. You don't want too much madness. Because if there's too much madness and you got all the big teams getting knocked off, it's fun in the first and second round. But when you get to the Sweet 16 and the regional championship, you want the big matchups, like the Blue Bloods. You want the big-time, juicy matchups. It can't be all Cinderellas against all Cinderellas. To me, that ruins the tournament. You want a couple, like we saw yesterday. But I can't sit here and root for all the underdogs. I want the big-time matchups. So that was cool yesterday. Princeton, peace out, Arizona. Furman, peace out, Virginia. You play the slowest style. You're boring everyone to death, Virginia. Get the hell... I'm sorry, Karate. You're my guy. But Virginia, get out of here, all right? You're putting me to sleep with your style of play. So you like some of the madness. You like the buzzer beaters. That's the tournament. But I can't be watching the tournament today and, okay, I want Kent State to knock off Indiana, which I do because then, they would play Miami if Miami wins. But it's like, all right, do I want Kennesaw State to knock off Xavier? Do I want Iona to knock off UConn? Do I want Vermont also to knock off Marquette? Do I want Providence to knock off Kentucky? Do I want Fairleigh Dickinson to knock off Purdue? If all of those things happen, there'd be a ton of madness, but it ruins the tournament. I need some of the big-time matchups. I want to eventually see Alabama face, another huge... I want Alabama, which, I guess it would have been, are they eventually going to face Arizona? Well, that's not going to happen now. But you understand what I'm saying? Like, I want eventually, unless the Canes were to beat them, I want Houston and Texas, 1 versus 2. You need the big matchups. Further on, we get the tournament. So give me a couple of upsets. We got a couple yesterday. Give me the madness with the buzzer beaters. But I can't sit here rooting for all the Cinderellas. You're not going to like that in the end. And what winds up happening too, hey, how did Jim Larinaga come to fame? George Mason, right? What are we talking? 2006, I believe, right? He came to fame with George Mason going all the way to the championship against Florida. And that was amazing. And what winds up happening? Florida kicks the shit out of them. And the game was terrible. Florida kills them in the final. And Florida's the national champion. Remember those Florida Gator teams? You had Joakim Noah, Al Horford, Corey Brewer, Lee Humphrey, what's his name? Torian, I forget his name. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Those Gator teams, all-time teams, back-to-back champions. And they also played, they beat Ohio State. Greg Oden's Ohio State. Mike Conley in the Final Four there. But they crushed George Mason in the final game. That's what winds up happening if you get these Cinderellas to go a little bit too far. You want the good matchups. I feel like a lot of people listening to me right now probably do not agree with what I just said. But that's how I feel. I like some of the madness. I like buzzer beaters, love it. But I can't root for every single potential Cinderella. You know what I'm talking about. The Canes tonight, day to day, Norchad Omier. I mean, can the Canes get past Drake without Omier? You would hope so. He's probably, I don't know if he's the best player on the team. He's probably the most important player on the team. He's day to day. We don't know his status right now as of this, right? You're in the future. You may know his status. You may be listening to this right now, right before the Canes game starts, and you're aware that Norchad Omier is playing, and he's going to kick ass, all right? I don't know right now. I'm in the past, you're in the future. Everybody understands that. By the way, if you're watching on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/ZASLOW Show. I love when you watch the YouTube channel, especially for the interviews when we have people on. That's a lot of fun to be able to see me talking to everyone. Otherwise, the podcast is most important. If you want to know what's most helpful for me, you listening to the podcast is the most helpful thing. But you want to check out for interviews or whatever on the YouTube channel, that's why it's up there. I love that. But you can go to youtube.com/@ZASLOW Show. What a great looking hat your boys got on right now, right? This is a 2-time champion hat right here. Johnny Cuba got the camouflage hat. How about that? Got my Johnny Cuba hat on. That means we're ready for the weekend. I wear this hat every Friday. So today, maybe go pick up yourself a 6-pack of Johnny. That's how you get the weekend started. Send me a picture or a video of you drinking a 6-pack of Johnny. I'll put it on my Instagram stories. Everybody knows I'm an influencer on Instagram, so you could check that out. I love when you guys tell me how delicious Johnny Cuba is. You can't believe it's the first time you're trying it, and I can't believe it's the first time either. Get yourself a 6-pack of Johnny right there, and I'll post it. So, really excited about the Canes, and like I said, we'll talk to the voice of FAU men's basketball. Ken Levico will join us coming up here on ZASLOW Show 2.0 today. I'm looking forward to that. So, the Heat, what I got for you on the Heat didn't play last night. The Heat play again tomorrow. They are in Chicago, who they haven't beat yet this year. All right. So this weekend, the Heat have in Chicago and in Detroit. These are must-win games. Let me rewind. They're must-win games if you're still holding out hope that the Heat are going to get out of the play-in seeds. I don't think that's going to wind up happening. And I told you, I don't think the Heat finishing 7th, which is where I think they're going to finish, I don't think that's such a bad thing. You got 2 chances at home to win 1 game. You shouldn't have any trouble doing that. And then, like, I think the play-in would be fun. It's not fun if you're the number 10. Probably not even if you're the number 9. But if you're the 7 and you're the Heat, who we know the pedigree, I'm not real worried about it. I think it'd be a lot of fun. But anyway, if you want the Heat, if you're still holding out hope of the Heat jumping up to number 6, where they avoid that play-in, you have to win these 2 games this weekend. You look at the Nets, who lost last night, by the way. That's important. The Nets last night, they lost at home to Sacramento. The Kings, by the way, are probably going to finish 2nd in the West. Crazy. Look at the top 3 in the Western Conference, bananas. Look at the top 3 in the West. Denver, Sacramento, Memphis. Let me know. You want to talk about brackets busted? Let me know how many people had those 3 as the top 3 in the Western Conference. By the way, is there anyone more obnoxious than the guy who, when Arizona loses yesterday to Princeton, goes on Twitter and lets everybody know, there goes my bracket? We used to have someone who worked at the radio station who was like that. Dude sucked. He was a guy who would do that all the time. My bracket's busted. That dude sucked. Anyway, so back to what I was saying. The Nets lose last night. They now have 31 losses. They're 39-31. The Heat, 33 losses, 38-33. I know the standings are going to tell you a game and a half. They're 2 back. You can't make up losses. The Heat have 33 losses. The Nets have 31. You need the Nets to lose twice. It's the only way you can catch them. And by the way, the Heat do not own the tiebreak. Now, they do play the Nets coming up next week. Play the Knicks and the Nets coming up next week. Very important. But while the Heat are going to have to win that game if they want to catch Brooklyn, they don't own the tiebreak no matter what happens there. So they're going to have to finish ahead of Brooklyn. This weekend, the Heat are 2 back in the loss column of the Nets, right? The Heat have at Chicago, got to win it. At Detroit, got to win it. Remember Detroit beat the Heat in the Heat's house earlier this year? Awful. The Heat have at Chicago and at Detroit this weekend. The Nets have Denver and Cleveland. Very tough games. Now, Denver's struggling right now. They just snapped a 4-game losing streak. They're not in jeopardy of losing the number 1 spot. They're 4 up on Sacramento. But still, you want to get back to playing well. Cleveland, they're 4th in the East. They're kind of stuck there, but New York is only 2 back. So you know Cleveland's trying. The Nets can have 2 losses this weekend. The Heat should have 2 wins this weekend. It's feasible that after the 2 games from each of these teams, they're tied in the loss column. And then coming up next week, the Heat are playing the Nets. So, which I believe is here in Miami. So, this is a very big weekend for the Heat if you're still holding out hope that they can get out of the play-in. Have to win these 2 games, and the Nets really need to lose the games against Denver and Cleveland. So that's where we're at with the Heat. Now, the Panthers last night. Oh my. All right, so I got a little bit of a weird experience with the Panthers last night. By the way, yesterday afternoon, I went and saw Shazam. Me and my younger son, Jordan, we see animated films right away. We see superhero movies right away. Shazam, which might be in big movie, not a big movie today. No spoilers. Also, of course, coming up, big game or not a big game. You got to know. All right, we'll get to it. Don't worry. We went and saw Shazam yesterday. I will start by telling you, I really enjoyed Shazam. I like the first one a lot too, surprisingly, because it looks kind of goofy. It's a fun movie. And I really liked the second one too. We'll get to the Rotten Tomatoes score and all of that coming up. But I really enjoyed Shazam 2. So if you're thinking about going to see it, you don't really know for sure. Great family movie. It's fun. It's pretty light. I really, really liked Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods yesterday. So you can go check that out. Give you a little recommendation there. Yeah. And you had a surprise cameo in the movie, or at least for me it was a surprise. So I really dug that. Anyway, it's a fun movie. Okay, so get home last night. We're going to watch the Panther game. The first 13 minutes of the game was the stupidest shit. I got a weird take about the Panthers last night. Panthers win 9-5 over Montreal. By far the most important thing is them getting those 2 points. But like, that game wasn't fun for me. And what I mean by that is, all these games, see, the only joy about the Panthers having such a tough first half of the season is now every game is super important. It feels like every game is a playoff game, right? And I've liked going into the third period. It's a 1-goal game, maybe even it's a 2-goal game, and the stakes feel super high. Middle of the second period, the Panthers were up 9-4, and it was like, all right, I kind of don't have to pay attention to this one anymore. Like, it's not even like they were up 3-0 or they're up 4-1. They were up 9-4. I'm sitting on the couch watching, obviously, like I'm on my phone. So it didn't have the intensity like the rest of these Panther games the last month have had. You know what I'm saying? So by far the most important thing was the Panthers getting that win last night. But it was a little disappointing of a game. I look forward the whole day to watching the game. Now, 16 seconds in, the Canadiens score. That's super annoying. The Panthers tie it like 2 minutes later. Panthers take the lead. Canadiens tie it. Panthers take the lead. Canadiens tie it. And then the Panthers went crazy, and before you know, they're up 7-3. They were up 7-3, 13 minutes into the game. My son Jordan said to me, it was 2-2, just a few minutes into the game. And he said, I'll bet the Panthers are gonna win this game 10-9. I'm like, I don't know, man, that never happens. He was almost right. The Panthers scored 9 goals. None in the third period, by the way. 7-3 was the score 13 minutes into the game. I never see anything like it. I mean, that's what everyone was saying on the broadcast. Moeller's saying it. Goldie's saying it. I've never seen a game like that. Ekblad had a pair of goals. Carter Verhaeghe had his 33rd and 34th goal. Tkachuk scored, I think, his 31st goal. And the most important thing is the Panthers right now are playing their best hockey of the season. And they're healthy, really, for the first time this season. Am I a little concerned that Bobrovsky gave up 5 goals last night? Yeah, but you know what? He's been excellent. So the game that he's going to give up 5 goals, if it's the game where the Panthers score 9, yeah, we'll live with it. I think they'll be all right. You dodge a little bit of a bullet with that one. So let's take a look here at the standings now. Here's what we're looking at. The Panthers, once again, got help last night. Penguins lost the Rangers. So here's where we are. Panthers and Penguins have played the same amount of games. That's important. The Panthers are 3 points back of the Penguins for the first wildcard spot. And the Panthers are also 3 points back of the Islanders for the second wildcard spot. That's why last night's game was so huge, because last night was one of the games in hand that the Panthers have on the Islanders. Islanders were idle last night, and now the Panthers are 3 back of Pittsburgh, and they're 3 back of the Islanders with 2 games in hand. So while the Panthers still have to make up 3 points on Pittsburgh, the Panthers, you could actually say, are in the more advantageous position for that wildcard spot than the Islanders are. Because the Panthers are 3 back with 2 in hand, which means they have 4 more available points than the Islanders have left for them. So you keep playing, like, essentially, here's the way to look at it. I mean, look, you have 14 games remaining. The Panthers essentially control their own fate, is what I'm saying. The Panthers have more points available to them the rest of the way than the Islanders do. And the Panthers would finish ahead of them. So obviously, they're not going to win all of these games remaining. But essentially, the Panthers control their own fate when you look at it like that. So really, for the first time now, the Panthers are looking like they got a shot at this thing after such an awful first half of the season. They got a chance here to get into the playoffs and maybe get into the playoffs healthy. I don't know if that's a big deal or not a big deal today, but that's a big deal. That's a big deal. You know what I'm talking about. All right, guys, it's Friday. Now, we just went over the Panthers. Panthers last night got them 2 points. The Canes, we know we got them. The Heat, they didn't play last night. But there's a lot happening this weekend. And you're probably saying to yourself, ZASLOW, I gotta know. Is it a big game? Or is it not a big game? Yes. All right. Big game or not a big game, you know how we do it every Friday. This is what we got going on. And of course, big game or not a big game is always brought to us by Brunt Insurance. That's right. Brunt Insurance. I've had my homeowners insurance with Greg Brunt Insurance and Financial Services for about 10 years from now. I never have any issues. I'm not left at night wondering, I can't sleep because if something happens to my home, what am I going to do? I'm covered. Greg Brunt and his team at Brunt Insurance and Financial Services, they have me covered. They got everyone covered from Pensacola to the Keys and beyond. Brunt Insurance delivers comprehensive insurance and financial solutions tailored to your needs. They specialize in home, auto, life insurance. Look, the market's confusing. You can't just say, I need homeowners insurance. Let me go onto Google and see what's up. No. Let Greg Brunt and his team at Brunt Insurance sort it all out for you. Fully licensed staff, and they know the area. I just told you, from Pensacola to the Keys and beyond. If you're looking for affordable care that offers the best coverage for your automobile, your motorcycle, your boat, yeah, you're making the right call. 954-589-2204. Social media at Brunt Insurance. Online, bruntinsurance.com. Again, if you're looking for homeowners insurance, I've been using Greg and his team for 10 years now. I got that peace of mind. God forbid something happens, I'm not going to be left out on the street. Call Brunt Insurance. Let his team take care of it for you. 954-589-2204. Let's get to big game or not a big game. Tonight, 7:25, approximate. TBS, Midwest region. Number 12 seed, Drake, versus number 5 seed, your Miami Hurricanes men's basketball team. That's right. Drake, nobody knows where that school's from. The Miami Hurricanes, everybody knows they're from South Florida, greatest place in the world to live. Norchad Omier, what's his status? We don't know right now. But Isaiah Wong, Nigel Pack, Jim Larinaga, them boys. The Canes can make a run. They were a regional final team last year. They're better this year. A lot of it hinges on Norchad Omier, his status. If he doesn't play tonight, okay, you can still get past Drake. Maybe he'll be ready for Sunday's action. The Canes all year have looked poised to make a run. Drake versus Miami. Nobody wants to hear about that 12-5 upset special. That's a big game. That's right. You knew that. Canes, Drake, that's a big game. All right. Everybody settle down. Tonight, 9:20, TNT. Number 8 seed, Memphis versus number 9 seed, FAU Owls. Ken LaVicka, voice of men's basketball at FAU. He's going to join us coming up. We'll talk a little bit about that. We'll get some of the lowdown. I don't know a ton about what's going on with FAU basketball, but I know that they're playing against Penny Hardaway coach Memphis Tigers. I know that's a major program right there, and FAU's in the tournament. And you'll love that it's after the Canes game. You may miss the first few minutes of FAU, but I'm sitting down, I'm watching both these games. I will root for FAU. I got nothing against FAU. Memphis versus FAU? That's a big game. Yup, it is. All right, let's move on to Saturday. 6 p.m. Bally Sports, Florida. New Jersey Devils at your Florida Panthers. Now, the Devils are a top 3 team in the Metropolitan Division. They're going to be in the playoffs. They're very good. Remember, they got off to the super hot start to the season. The Panthers, they're playing their best hockey of the year. They put a 9 spot on the Canadiens' Culo last night. Do they have any more goals left in the tank tomorrow? I say they do. Devils at Panthers, that's a big game. Let's stick with Saturday. Saturday, 7:30, Apple Plus. Inter Miami at Toronto FC. Inter Miami's 2-1. Very good start to the season. Those 2 wins were at home. Last weekend, they lost at NYCFC on an own goal. Very upsetting. Inter Miami's been playing very good football so far this season. I'll call it soccer because I like being an inclusive show, but sometimes, my soccer aficionado gets a hold of me and I use the official football lingo. So if I ever say football and I'm not talking about American football, I'm talking about soccer, but I want to make sure nobody feels left out. So I'll call it soccer. And it's on Apple Plus. I know I had some folks who sent me messages on Twitter and on Instagram. Yo, Zaslow, where do I watch the Inter Miami game? I'm like, yeah, it's MLS games are all on Apple Plus. You got to get a season pass, a subscription. And I understand people being pissed about that. That's not an Inter Miami thing. That's an MLS thing. It doesn't feel like that's the best way to grow the game. Luckily, I don't know if you know, I'm an inaugural season ticket holder for Inter Miami. So along with your season ticket package, you get a subscription is included on the Apple Plus. So I'm able to watch the games. If I wasn't, I would be right there with it. I would think it totally sucks. It really sucks. But anyway, Inter Miami at Toronto FC. Yeah, I'll go big game. I'll be watching it. Saturday, 8 p.m. Bally Sports Sun. Your Miami Heat at the Chicago Bulls. Now, the Bulls just got the news that Lonzo Ball is going to undergo a 3rd surgery on his knee, which will likely keep him out of all of next year as well, and his career is in jeopardy. The Miami Heat, if you want the Miami Heat to get to that 6th spot, this is a must-win game against a Bulls team that doesn't have a whole lot to play for. Heat at Bulls tomorrow night, that's a big game. I got one more for you. Sunday, 6 p.m., Bally Sports Sun. Your Miami Heat at the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons, they're the dregs of the NBA. Very terrible team. But they beat the Heat already this year. In the Heat's house. This week, right now, it's called Miami-Dade Arena. They beat the Heat at Miami-Dade Arena already this year. It'll be the 2nd night of a back-to-back for the Heat. Playoff Jimmy's arrived. I already told you about that. Heat at Pistons. Are they coming off of a win at Chicago? If so, this is a must-win game. Take advantage of the schedule. That's a big game. And that right there is another edition of Big Game or Not a Big Game. Yes. And of course, big game or not a big game, brought to us by Brunt Insurance and Financial Services, 954-589-2204. I told you, look, I've been using Greg Brunt and his team at Brunt Insurance for almost 10 years now. They cover my home. I don't have any issues because if I have to call, if I want to get Greg on the phone right away, if I got some questions, 954-589-2204, he helps me out right away. So there you have it. All right. So, you guys know the World Baseball Classic's been going on, right? I haven't exactly been dialed into it, but you see the crowds, Marlins Park, everywhere they're playing these games. People are so into it. Me personally, I'm not so into it. The USA could win. They cannot win. I'm going to be okay either way. But what I do want to talk about is, so you saw a couple nights ago, while Puerto Rico was celebrating a huge win, Mets closer Edwin Diaz, Timmy trumpets, love that. I mean, it's always after the Mets, but I do like that. All right, Edwin Diaz, great closer for the Mets. He hurt himself. He had to be carried off the field after the celebration, and we found out yesterday, out for the season. Terrible. Sucks. Really sucks. So, you got a lot of this, where wow, he got hurt in games that don't matter. And one of the tweets yesterday that got a lot of attention was from Keith Olbermann, who really seems like a massive curmudgeon these days in his age. But anyway, Keith Olbermann tweeted out, first Freddie Freeman, now Edwin Diaz. And Keith Olbermann's a huge baseball guy. First Freddie Freeman, now Edwin Diaz. The WBC is a meaningless exhibition series designed to get you to buy another uniform, to hell with the regular season, and split up teammates based on where their grandmothers got laid. Call it off. Now. All right. You know the term ugly American? This is one of those scenarios where they look at us and say, we're an ugly American. It's a weird thing. I don't know if it has to do with us being a melting pot. I don't think that's why. But it's a strange thing. We see this with the Olympics as well. For whatever reason, we as a country, Americans, we don't have the patriotism that really every other country has. So I could sit here and say, yeah, I don't care about the USA winning the WBC. It doesn't mean a whole lot to me. And for me, I would be really upset if one of the guys in the Marlins got hurt and now has to miss the whole year like Edwin Diaz for the Mets. But the other countries, so really the rest of the world, don't feel that way. And again, it's not just for the WBC, the Olympics as well. There's so much more national pride in all these other countries than the United States. I care so much more about my club team than I do my national team. I care so much more about the Miami Heat. My love for the Heat, Team USA basketball pales in comparison. It's non-existent compared to my love for the Heat. And same thing for World Baseball Classic, same thing for, I love the Florida Panthers infinitely more than I care about U.S. men's hockey. I would take the Miami Heat winning the NBA championship over U.S. men's basketball winning the Olympics a billion, trillion, gazillion times over. Argentina just won the World Cup. Every Argentinian takes Argentina winning the World Cup over whoever their favorite club team is winning their league championship. And we don't do that here. Argentina winning the World Cup is so much more important than whatever club team is your favorite. And for us, I care a billion trillion times more about the Miami Heat winning a championship than I do Team USA winning the gold medal. Or for that matter, if you want to compare it to soccer, Team USA winning the World Cup. And most Americans feel that way as well. Would you care more about the Miami Dolphins winning the Super Bowl? Or do you care more about Team USA winning the World Cup? Or Team USA winning the WBC? Or Team USA winning the gold in the Olympics? The grand majority care more about the Dolphins winning the Super Bowl. It's not like that in other countries. So it's a very, and look, you can't say the WBC may be meaningless to us as Americans. Those stadiums are packed, man. The players, you saw the celebration that got Edwin Diaz hurt for Puerto Rico. Didn't look like it's meaningless to them. So it might be meaningless to us as Americans. Our patriotic pride is not the same as other countries. It's just not. I don't know why, but it's just not. So that's, the phrase ugly American, that's a very ugly American take by Keith Olbermann there, who I think probably apologized, but nonetheless, you understand what I'm saying. Let's get to big movie or not a big movie. You know what I'm talking about here. Big movie or not a big movie. You're saying to yourself, Zaslow, there's a lot happening. You already gave us big game or not a big game, but what if I need to make some family time? What if I'm going to take my crew to the movies? What should I see? Well, luckily, I got big movie or not a big movie for you here. First up here, this movie is called Inside. All right, it's rated R. It's a drama. It's in theaters right now. It is starring Willem Dafoe. What an actor. All right, here's what it's about. Inside tells the story of Nemo, an art thief trapped in a New York penthouse after his heist doesn't go as planned. Locked inside with nothing but priceless works of art, he must use all of his cunning and invention to survive. Now, the Rotten Tomatoes media score, 62%. So it's an alright movie. It's good. The audience score, only 43%. Inside is not a big movie. I'm not going to the theaters for that. Not a big movie. Big movie or not a big movie? This one is called Shazam! Fury of the Gods. It's rated PG-13. It's got sequences of action. It's got language. It's got violence. It's an action-adventure / comedy. It's out in theaters today. It stars Zachary Levi, Helen Mirren, Lucy Liu. I mean, this is a great cast. Here's what it's about. From New Line Cinema comes Shazam! Fury of the Gods, which continues the story of teenager Billy Batson, who, upon reciting the magic word Shazam, is transformed into his adult superhero alter ego, Shazam. Yeah, you guessed it. The media score on Rotten Tomatoes, 55%. The audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, 84%. So the media the media is telling you, all right, it's okay. It's above average. The audience loves it. I saw Shazam! Fury of the Gods yesterday. I really, really enjoyed it. Shazam! Fury of the Gods. That's a big movie. Big movie or not a big movie? This one is called Money Shot. The Pornhub Story. It's a documentary. How about that? Where is this available? Let's see. It is out now. I can't see where it's available. Anyway, it's a document. Oh, it's on Netflix. I'm sorry, it's streaming. It's on Netflix. It's a documentary. It's directed by someone called Suzanne Hillinger. Here's what it's about. Pornhub, the internet's most famous adult entertainment platform, fundamentally changed how pornography is made and distributed. This enabled erotic content creators to reach a massive audience while the company made billions of dollars. But it also became embroiled in allegations including non-consensual material and trafficking. As anti-trafficking organizations seek justice for victims, can the online giant protect those from whom they profit? Or is this a new wave of censorship for adult performers making consensual porn? Whoa. The Rotten Tomatoes media score, 77%. The Rotten Tomatoes audience score, 69%. That's got to be on purpose, right? Anyway, Money Shot, the Pornhub story. I'm going not a big movie. You're shocked, right? I'm going not a big movie because you know what this feels like to me? This is one of those scenarios where I don't want to know how the sausage is made. Now, I figure out all that trafficking stuff. That's not cool, obviously. But I don't want to know how the sausage is made. Yeah. So I'm going not a big movie. I got one more here for you. Big movie or not a big movie? Bert Kreischer, Razzle Dazzle. My guy Dave Williamson tours with Bert Kreischer. He opens for Bert. Bert's one of the biggest comedians out there right now. This is a comedy stand-up special. It's available on Netflix. It came out a couple days ago. It's starring Bert Kreischer. Here's what it's about. Shameless and shirtless as ever, Bert Kreischer spills in a riotous set on bodily emissions, being bullied by his kids, and the explosive end to his family's escape room outing in his newest Netflix comedy special, Razzle Dazzle. Now, there's no media score, but the audience score, 58%. Not high, but they're telling you it's above average. Bert Kreischer, Razzle Dazzle. I'm going big movie. I will watch this. I'm a fan. There you go. And that right there is another edition of Big Movie or Not a Big Movie.